Hello, I'm Susan King. I'm the Dean of the School of Journalism and Mass Communication here at UNC Chapel Hill, and I have with me Richard Griffiths, the Vice President and Senior Director of Editorial for CNN, and almost a Tar Heel.
Almost. UNC Greensboro, just down the road.
But I claim you because you've been coming here for 10 years to talk with our students, to share what you know, and to also take a look at some of the good students. So I want to thank you in public for being someone who has constantly challenged our students.
It's always fun to meet the new crop.
And I have to say to our audience that you are, in fact, a North Carolinian, despite that British accent.
That's correct. Immigrated here and settled in Raleigh and went to UNCG and then onwards in my career.
And never got that y'all into that.
Never got the y'all part.
You also worked in the news business for a number of years before you came to CNN, but I want to talk about your life at CNN because it's now more than 20 years that you've been at that upstart called CNN, which is a lot more than an upstart. What does CNN mean at this time? Because it was challenging all of television news, and now it's establishment.
Well, it's now the gold standard of quality journalism. People look to CNN to see if something is right. You know, in a time of social media where everybody gets the news off Twitter or their Facebook feed or the phone call from their relatives, they flip to CNN. Is it true? Is it right? Can I trust what I'm hearing in those places? So in a new era, we have become the place, the go-to place to check out what's right.
And that's a big burden because in the news business, especially when you're on live like you are 24/7, mistakes happen.
That's absolutely true. And that's my job, to walk around with the big shovel and the broom to clean up those mistakes. And so I'm keenly aware when we do make the occasional one. Like any news organization, we're not perfect. We strive to be, but sometimes that's a difficult thing, to be absolutely right every second. But we take great pride in trying to do it right and investing the resources to be able to make sure that the work is right when it goes on the air.
And of course, accuracy also breeds trust, and trust is what a news organization and the public need to have. So how do you go about doing that to make sure that you're accurate? Do you tell people, don't go on now, or to couch what they might be learning so they're not
It's all of those things.
Okay.
We have, in terms of our enterprise reporting, at CNN we have what's called the row. We used to sit in a row in the newsroom, and we now sit in a sort of a pod, but thankfully they didn't change the name. The row editors oversee each piece of enterprise reporting before it goes on the air. So we are working with each reporter. What's the sourcing on this? How do you know this? What's the background? And a group of fact checkers, researchers, often right out of school or a couple of years out of school. And frankly, we've had some outstanding ones who've come from UNC into that role.
Glad to hear that.
Who then go through each script. And so a young new hire might be telling Chris John or some other reporter, hey, the line, the third graph of the script, I'm not so sure about this. What's your sourcing on that? Oh, well, I think we've got more up-to-date data, or we've got more up-to-date information. And the great thing about CNN is, because of the culture at CNN, even the lower level staffers have the authority to speak up on editorial matters and say, hey, I'm not sure about that. And it helps protect the brand against making those big mistakes.
And when it's breaking, and so often people turn, because I think your reputation is also breaking news,
Correct.
You're going to be there. That's when it's hard to always verify something.
That's exactly right. Well, we're all on a big conference bridge, and there's long conversations that are taking place as people develop new reporting. And then if it's source reporting, I'll drop off to another line along with the reporter and go over the sourcing perhaps, discover the nature of the source, how the source knows, evaluate whether it's credible on the basis of other material that perhaps may be out there, look to the track record of the person. Is this somebody we've known for a long time? And what's their location in reference to the material? Is this something that they've heard at the water cooler? Is it something that they've been briefed on? Did they write the report on it? Did they actually witness it themselves? How do they know the information they're conveying to us? And based on that, then we'd make the judgment about whether or not we're going to clear it for air.
And when a mistake is made, which always happens, what's the philosophy about informing the public?
We try to make it very clear. We try to correct it as quickly as we can. being straightforward in all our online stuff, all our online writing. We will acknowledge and note when something has changed. Sometimes it's in the body text. Different situations vary. If the death toll is off by 1 and it's moved down because the Sheriff's Department gave us the wrong number, we'd simply say revised numbers from the Sheriff's Department. If we have made the mistake because we can't count, then we acknowledge clerical error, we've got it wrong. And that's easy. Those are the easy ones to do. It's where you've got an error that is more substantive, and then you have to figure out how much of a disclosure do you go into the background, particularly if it's sourced. You don't want to give away your source.
Can you apologize? Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
And because some days people wouldn't want to do that, but that's not a problem today, is it?
No, I think it's actually, particularly online, people are very open to hearing that kind of response and being human.
Yeah.
The fastest way to put down a Twitter fire, as I call it, because we've made a mistake, is to say, oh, we've blown this, we're going to fix it, we're working on the headline now, and be very open and transparent. And the folks out of CNN Digital have proven very adept at washing those fires down.
And that's, of course, now an added plus to have this kind of online presence. And it seems to me that CNN is really experimenting with that in new ways. Tell us how it's not a competitor, but a colleague.
Well, think about this. Not only is it driving audiences to us in big breaking news, but in enterprise reporting, social media rewards great work. And so social media actually elevates our great reporting. Mm-hmm. So a really nice piece done on a complicated subject that does break some ground perhaps or explain something particularly well will go viral online, and you actually see the jump. Certain stories on CNN Digital, we've seen 50% of the audience is being driven off social media.
Wow.
All across CNN, it's 2-3% on an average day, but some great reporting gets a big boost. And that's huge for us. But it's also, social media is also helping us on the news gathering phase. We can't be every place. No news organization can be every place. We've partnered with a company called Data Miner, which is a small, one of those .com startups that's vowel impaired. D-A-T-M-I-N-R, no E. Data Miner has developed algorithms that dip deep into the Twitter feed and surface things that are newsworthy to us for us to evaluate almost instantly, and allows us then to make those traditional journalism calls to say, oh, has there been an earthquake out west? Well, we have 5 people within 5 blocks all saying that there's been a big earthquake in LA. Or maybe it's not an earthquake, perhaps it's a water main break. Or maybe it is a big earthquake. And by making that quick phone call, we can then verify and get out in front. So there have been stories where we've been as much as 40 minutes. That hijacked Turkish plane a few weeks ago that flew around the Middle East and ended up landing in Vienna, I believe. Don't hold me to that, but in Europe. That plane, we knew about 40 minutes before most of the competition because we saw a tweet through Data Miner from an air traffic control official who happened to put it out there, and then we were able to make the quick calls and get it on.
Amazing.
So really allowing us, long before an idea has gone viral, we're seeing it and able to evaluate it.
And it's not quite news by algorithm. It's an alert that then...
It is an alert. Yes, it's very, very key that the editorial process is still intact because there's still noise. There are still things that pop up and we really don't care. Or it's some of our own reporting that's just happened to pop up online that somebody's flagging, and you can discount that immediately. But the tools within the system that we've built are such that we're able to quickly identify fake tweets and fake information because of the way it goes viral.
Intriguing. Now, I also noticed that my daughter, who's 23, so she's in a demographic that people want, gets CNN alerts on her phone.
Yes.
So she doesn't just come to me and say, did you hear that? She says, hey, my CNN just told me. So she knows every headline. I don't know if she's watching you all the time. How does that advantage the news organization?
For us, we're in a world that is rapidly changing how people consume news. We are a news provider. We're generating content for whatever platform the viewers will take it or the readers. So if it's CNN television with a big television set, great. Or if it's online, or if it's off some of our social feeds, we're happy for them to get it that way. The mobile, during some of the coverage of this disappeared Malaysian Airways plane, there have been days when we've had 10 million readers, uniques, online on the desktop, and another X million, 4 or 5, on mobile, all unique. So these are monumental audiences who are coming to CNN all the time. And so, yes, it's possible to monetize that. And the more videos we can play out that way, and technology is improving every second, so that we can deliver those videos, so we can make money off that and compensate for the vast cost of running a news organization like CNN.
And I think of CNN always as a global news organization, more global than others at that time. Is that still part of its stripe, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you have CNN en Español, you have CNN International, which is seen, in almost every country. You have certainly the web operations. We have CNN Arabic. We have an Indian channel which is associated with us. We have CNN-J, which is a sort of a Japanese language, CNN English for Japan with some Japanese subtitles. We have just announced CNN Indonesia, which is going to be in the local language out of Jakarta. So there's a lot of stuff, plus CNN Chile. A lot of these partnerships with local broadcasters who agree to meet our editorial standards and deliver quality journalism according to the rules that we follow ourselves internally, following our own standards and practices, but in perhaps the local language.
You've watched this organization grow. You've also watched news as you knew it collapse.
Yes.
Newspapers, lots of people out of jobs, bureaus shut. And you're on the other side of 30. Our under 30, all this change is all optimism for them and all opportunity. Are you optimistic about the business?
Absolutely.
And why?
I'm optimistic because CNN has always, let me back up very slightly. When I first got to CNN, it was run not unlike an electrical utility, with everybody being brought in, trained. This is how you hold the camera, this is how you write the copy, this is how you do these things, and training from within. And the system was built around known structures, but on the model of a breaker of the status quo. System, very rigid, but completely shaking up that status quo. Now, we're the status quo in terms of cable news and the quality leader, but we have to be breaking up that paradigm ourselves. We have to be looking for ways that we can shake things up, which is why we're so aggressive in our delivery of the news online, so aggressive about using new technologies, so aggressive, we were the first to use BGAN technology for getting the news out without using a satellite, or the MPEG compression, trying new ways of doing things with technology and journalism in hand, but not throwing away the core values we've stood for over the years. Why I'm optimistic is because every time we look at a new platform or a new idea out there, we see opportunity and we can try to move into that. Because CNN is a news gathering organism, not a television network necessarily. It is a television network, it's a web presence, it's a handheld presence for your smartphone, it's alerts on Twitter, it's every way that you can get CNN, and we'll continue to look for new ways to deliver it.
And that's really key. The soul is news and news gathering.
That's right.
So that motivates. What keeps that culture so alive? Because you're a different organism than when you started. It was Ted Turner's, but now you're part of a big corporation. What keeps that culture?
I think a lot of it comes from the hiring process of bringing in smart people who share those values, but also it's come from the top. It's been very, very clear from the top of the organization down that we're about the journalism. Yes, we have to make a profit. Yes, we have to deliver on the numbers to be able to. Yes, a business that is not delivering might be shed if it's not working out. But the core value and understanding of what makes CNN valuable is the journalism. If we're not delivering on the journalism, we've cheapened the brand, and when you cheapen the brand, you can't move into another area. And I think the senior management really understand that and have executed on that.
I'm going to leave you right now because we could go on, but I just remember the first time I met Ted Turner. He came into the White House booth where I was working with Sam Donaldson of ABC News, and he said, "I'm going to bury you." And Sam Donaldson laughed and said, "He's a crazy man." What he built all these years later, nothing crazy about it.
He is still committed to that journalism. He still makes a point of talking to our CNN journalism fellows. While he's not involved in the news operation, he's still very passionate about the need for the kind of services we're delivering. Really fun being with you.
Good to be with you. Richard Griffiths, CNN. Thanks, Richard.